They took his name, his family, his freedom. They could not take this. What he kept is what you are missing. Let's audit the essence. What if the one thing keeping you stuck is not your circumstances, not your past, and not your lack of resources, but the fact that you have never given yourself a real reason to keep going? By the end of this audit, you will walk away with the exact mental framework that kept a man alive inside the most brutal conditions in human history. And the step-by-step method to use it to rebuild your life from the ground up. Stay with me. This one is different. Right now, someone with your exact talent, your exact background, and half your opportunities is outworking you. Not because they are smarter. Not because life treated them better. Because they found something you have not found yet. And every morning you wake up without it, you drift a little further from the person you were supposed to become. You scroll. You delay. You tell yourself tomorrow. Meanwhile, the version of you that could have had it all is standing at a distance, watching, waiting, wondering when you will finally decide to show up. But one psychiatrist in Vienna decided no condition on earth was powerful enough to take his purpose from him. If that hit something in you, keep watching. Because what comes next is the part most people never hear. Viktor Frankl was not a motivational speaker. He was not a man who read books about suffering from the comfort of an office. He was thrown into Auschwitz with nothing. His pregnant wife taken. His mother killed. His brother gone. He stood in freezing cold wearing rags, doing forced labor, surrounded by death every single day. And yet, inside those walls, he made a discovery that would change psychology forever. The men who lasted longest were not always the strongest. They were the ones who still had something to live for. A face they needed to see again. A mission they refused to leave unfinished. A meaning no guard could confiscate. Frankl held two anchors. The book he had not yet written. And the image of his wife's face, which he would picture in detail during the worst moments, her eyes, her voice, the way she looked at him. That image was not weakness. It was fuel. It was the why that made every brutal how survivable. He called his entire framework logotherapy. The core idea is this: human beings are not primarily chasing pleasure. They are chasing meaning. And when you find your meaning, you can endure almost any level of difficulty to protect it. Now here is where this gets personal. And I need you to stay with me for this part. I was 19 years old and completely lost. Not lost in the romantic way people describe when they are finding themselves. Lost in the ugly way. Waking up at noon, staring at the ceiling, feeling nothing. Scrolling for hours and not being able to tell anyone what I had looked at. Everyone around me seemed to be moving forward and I could not figure out why my feet would not move. My father had left when I was 12. My mother worked 2 jobs and came home exhausted. I did not blame her. I blamed myself. That thought followed me everywhere. Into classrooms where I stopped trying. Into friendships I quietly destroyed. Into job interviews I walked out of before they even finished asking the first question. I had a small room above a laundromat. A mattress on the floor. A stack of instant noodles. A phone with a cracked screen. I told myself it was temporary. But deep down I was terrified it was permanent. One night, past 2 in the morning, sitting on that floor with my back against the wall, a video loaded on my cracked screen. A short clip about a man named Viktor Frankl. I had never heard of him. The clip was less than 5 minutes. But by the end of it, I was sitting differently. Straighter. Something had shifted in my chest. That night I found his book online and read it until the sun came up. One line stopped me completely. A man who has a why to live can bear almost any how. I read it again. And then I opened my notes app and wrote, for the first time in my life, the real reason I wanted to exist. Not goals. Not a list. My why. That single moment changed everything. And I will tell you exactly what happened after, but first, let us finish the blueprint, because this is the part that will make it work for you too. Here is where it becomes uncomfortable. You are not in a camp. You have warmth. You have food. You have a phone in your hand and years of potential ahead of you. And yet you are still not moving. That is not a resource problem. That is a meaning problem. You have goals written down somewhere. But underneath those goals there is nothing. No anchor. No why. And without a why, every obstacle becomes an excuse to stop. Nobody is arriving to hand you direction. Not a mentor. Not a parent. Not a lucky break. Frankl did not wait to be rescued. He built his reason to survive inside the worst place imaginable. You have every advantage he did not, and the only question is whether you will use it. If you are still here, you already know this is speaking to something real in you. Do not let that feeling disappear when this video ends. Here is exactly what to do with it. This is your 30-day action framework. Do not skip a single day. On day 1, open your phone right now and write one sentence in your notes. Not a goal. Not a dream. Your why. The real reason underneath everything you say you want. Every morning before you touch anything else, read that sentence out loud. In week 1, build one keystone habit anchored directly to that why. Wake up earlier. Move your body. Protect your first hour from noise. In week 2, add a second habit on top. In week 3, a third. By day 30 you will have a 4-habit foundation built on something real, not motivation that expires by afternoon. Now let me show you what happens when this actually works. After that night on the floor, everything changed. Slowly. Not overnight, and I will not lie to you about that. There were still bad days. Still moments of doubt. Still rooms I walked into feeling like the least qualified person there. But I kept returning to that why. Every time I wanted to quit, I asked myself one question: is quitting consistent with the man I wrote about in that notes app at sunrise? The answer was always no. I went back to studying. I built a business from nothing. Starting with a borrowed laptop and clients who paid me $50 for work I now charge 10 times that for. I met a woman who did not need me to be perfect, only honest. We built a real life together. We have a home now. A daughter who is 3 years old and has no idea how close her father came to becoming someone who gave up. That is the before and after. The drifting young man on the floor and the person writing to you right now. The only bridge between those two versions was a why worth protecting. And before Frankl became one of the most read authors in human history, 16 million copies sold, a framework taught in universities worldwide, he was a prisoner whose manuscript the guards had destroyed. He rewrote it entirely from memory. He had every reason to collapse and he chose meaning instead. If he could do that inside Auschwitz, you can do what your life is asking of you right now. You are not too late. You are not too damaged. You are not too ordinary. So here is what I want you to do before you close this video. Open your notes. Write your why in one honest sentence. Then drop it in the comments right now. Tell me what you are building toward and why it matters. I go through every single comment. Your words might be the thing someone else needed to read today. And if this audit moved something in you, you are going to want to see what we did with Arnold Schwarzenegger's blueprint. The kid who grew up on a farm in a small Austrian village with no money, no connections, and one obsession and became the most recognizable man on the planet. That audit is already on the channel. Go watch it next. You will not regret it. Audit your life. Extract the essence. Master your future.